There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out. There's a new me coming out.
Welcome to the show, Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making the next chapter of your life the very best chapter ever. I am your host, Lorraine Hoving, and I am thrilled that you are here today. This day could change your life. Please open your heart, your ears, and listen. You may find a gem, a treasure that you can apply to your life today. Well, I am so excited to have this next guest with us, and her name is Tonya. Hi, Tonya.
Good morning, Lorraine.
You can hear her energy, so it's on par with mine. So this should be a dynamite show. So let me tell you a little bit about Tonya. Tonya Telesco is her name, and she is an inspirational speaker, an author, and human behavior expert. Ooh, that's scary. Dedicated to empowering women to find their voice, build better relationships, and follow their dreams. Actually, that's wonderful. Through speaking, workshops, and resources, her hunger to infuse women with passion and purpose is contagious, motivating, and most of all, fun. She provides proven strategies to move them from comfortable complacency to results that are extraordinary. Believing, so this is kind of the message about my show too. Believing you are never too young to get a vision for your life, and you're never too old to get a better one. Love it. Her books include Walking Off Your Map, 7 Keys to an Extraordinary Life, and Be the Exception, 79 Keys to Build Successful Lives and Better Relationships. While Tonya is passionate about speaking and inspiring individuals to reach their full potential, she loves her hubby, Tom, and family even more. They consider the world their office, but call South Lake, Texas, home. Well, welcome. I am so excited. And I wanted to start with this first question, Tonya. What wakes you up on fire? Because I can tell you're on fire today. What wakes you up on fire when you roll over in the bed and say, hey, this is another day. I've got this. So what wakes you up on fire?
Oh, wow, Lorraine, that is a super question. And, I honestly have to say, for the first time in my life, I know that I am right smack dab in the middle of God's will for me. And, it took some years to find that. But I think that's why I'm so passionate now, is that I know that my passion and destiny are to invite women into theirs. And, that was a long road for me to figure out. And so now I'm really just so focused on, creating the resource and providing the avenues that women, whatever season that they're in, that they're going to say, oh my goodness, I have clarity, I have confidence, and I am doing exactly what I was designed to do. So
I love it. So what wakes you up in the morning is serving others. And I find this a lot when people are on the program. Yeah. They wake up thinking about how today I can make a difference in somebody's life. And that's incredible. So you've entitled this first talk today, because Tonya's going to be on for 2 weeks, which is great. But this one's entitled Walking Off Your Map. Now, I met Tonya at a speaking conference, and you talked about walking off your map. So explain that to the people out there, because I thought it was a great concept and a great visual. So what does it mean, walking off your map?
Absolutely. So, just going back a little bit in my past, Lorraine, I was just raised in an extraordinary family, and I just hit the lottery when it came to parents.
you're,
But
you're,
I have to,
you're fortunate.
yes,
That's
very, very much so. And the negative side was that, once I graduated from school and went to college and did everything that the world tells you to do, I mean, they show you how to make a living, but not necessarily build a life. And I just struggle.
True.
I probably changed my major 2 or 3 times. I remember one Sunday morning, we had a member of our church, and she was a flight attendant with American Airlines. And she showed up in that uniform, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. So I quit college, and I said,
It was the uniform. It was the uniform.
And long story short, I went through a process and got hired on with American Airlines, and I got my uniform and I got my wings, was shipped off to Washington, D.C. And girl, I was miserable for 3 years.
And the uniform no longer just cut it, right?
It just didn't cut it. I mean, how many times can you say fish and chicken in one day? And that was back in the time when they had the 3-tiered carts in first class on the DC-10s. The ovens were in the belly of the plane, like 24 ovens. And it just was, I was like, this is not me. This isn't what I thought I signed up for. So,
right.
So I quit that after about 3 years. And then I was just really so blessed to have some opportunities in surgical sales and medical sales and medical sales and software sales. And I'll tell you what, financially, I hit the jackpot. It was an extraordinary livelihood, very successful, but I was still empty. And I was like, man, there is just part of my life. I had discovered success, but it was significance that I was missing. And like my mentor, John Maxwell, says, success is something that we do for ourselves. The significance is something that we do for others.
Oh, yes.
And now, now I have both. And it's just so fulfilling when you understand that. So
I have a question. Where did you meet Tom in that? Was that before you became a flight attendant, or?
No, actually. And so, when I had that job and was in corporate for those years, that was where I took a leap of faith. I said, I was blessed. I had the company car, the expenses and everything. And finally, I just said, I can't do it anymore. Right. And I went to my boss, Lorraine, and I said, I'm done. And that was when you asked me about walking off my map. That was what I did. I walked off my map of everything that I knew to go somewhere that I had never been.
Right. And you walked
away.
That's
where that started.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you walked away from a map, a guideline. Your finances were all taken care of, and you walked off the map and to the unknown. Yeah.
Unknown. All my security. Cut the cords. It's like there has to be more, and it was truly a step of faith because and it was then actually I went to Bible college in Colorado Springs. Now Tom and I have only been married 2 years, so this was like 15 years ago. Okay. And I'd never been married. Never even actually came close. I was just one of those girls that I just knew a lot more people that were less happy than I was who were married. That's probably another conversation. And I was like, no, me and Jesus are good.
I'm just fine. Yes.
I'm doing good. Yes. And so it was just time to get a vision for my life. And so that was the next step.
So who were the, like you talk about John Maxwell, and I didn't mention that in the bio, but tell me his influence in your life.
Absolutely. There was really 3 critical points in my life. And the first one, as far as turning points, the first one was being introduced to DISC because that was my first introduction to personal development. But Lorraine, before I had left for college, I was staying with my parents before I moved to Colorado Springs. And my sister was going through a rough divorce and moved in with her 9 kids. So we had 9 of us living like a can of packed sardines in this little house.
Gosh.
And I was introduced to DISC. And in a nutshell, you would have thought we won the lottery, because for the first time in our lives did we have an understanding of ourselves and each other. And for the first time in my parents' life, were they able to move from toleration to celebration. So that was a key turning point. And then, of course, when I met Tom, he was like, you know, he's a founding member with the Maxwell team.
Okay.
And so he said, this is my world, and I want you to walk through this with me. And so I went through my first certification with him. And that's how I was introduced to the team. And so that's where that began.
Okay. And is that what kind of accelerated your growth in your personal life, was being part of that team?
Yes, ma'am. It was my first IMC event. It was about 3,000 people. And Lorraine, that was, you know, being raised a small town girl, you're kind of in a bubble from some things that are going on out there. And it was the first time that I had really heard a legitimate keynote speaker. And after I heard him, in that moment, I said, that is what I want to do the rest of my life.
Wow.
It's to be a voice of people and a catalyst to say that there is more, and then take the steps to get there. And I knew it in that little hour moment. I knew what I was going to be doing the rest of my life. And I had an opportunity to go for stage time in the next 6 months at that same event. And I prepared because I had never spoken in public like that before. And long story short, I came up with a 3-minute talk and went through a grueling process of about 6 months and made it to the top 10 and made the stage.
Wow.
And when I made the stage, Tom had been working behind the scenes for all those months. And after I spoke in front of 3,500 people, he took parts of my speech and came up on stage and proposed. So it was pretty extraordinary.
I love it. What way to go, Tom.
I know. I'm telling you, I got my prince. And, you know, I share that because I was married right before I was 50 for the first time. And I'm just like, women, there is no expiration to those dates and dreams in your heart. I mean, if you just, you know, discover them and get clarity and walk that walk. I mean, it's just incredible what can happen in any season. You know that.
Right. And I love what you just said. There's no expiration on our dreams. It doesn't matter if we're 10 or it doesn't matter if we're 100. They don't expire. That's beautiful. I love it. Now, Tonya, so I would say that, you know, you look like you have the perfect world. First of all, I'll tell my audience, Tonya is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. So you had this perfect background, which not every one of us do, you know. So Tonya, I have a question for you. I have gone through my own personal loss, and that's where my story comes from. So for somebody to look at you, you are beautiful, you are gorgeous, you had this wonderful family, kind of like they'd look at you and say, well, she's had a fairy tale life. How can she relate to me? Tell me how you dig deep to find passion for those that have gone through, because I know even though everything looks perfect, you've gone through your journey too. In fact, you didn't get married, like you said, until you were like 50, almost 50. So tell us a little bit where your passion comes from deep in your soul.
Absolutely. And, you know, I haven't gone through a lot of grief and trauma like people have, but I think it's just so relative. I mean, we had stuff And we had stuff that happened, because I was raised in the church and through ministry that was painful. That was people that were just like family. I think personally, boy, Lauren, I would say that my greatest struggle internally was just struggling with my own significance.